If you're brand new to working out, I really need you to hear this. You don't need to destroy yourself in the gym. You don't need to take every single exercise to muscle failure. You don't need to be so sore the next day that you can barely sit down. And you definitely don't need to follow some random workout from somebody on the internet just because they told you it works for everybody. Because the exercise isn't the program. Stick with me here. The person is the starting point for the program. And as we go through this today, I'm going to show you 6 red flags that you can use the next time an influencer tells you how you should be working out, because Nick Martinez from Pruvit hits quite a few of them. Let's watch.
What's happening, everybody? Nick Martinez, the Keto Dad here, and this morning we're going to do some dumbbell exercises. I'm going to go through 5 simple exercises you can do with dumbbells that will make all the difference. Like, literally will help you start to transform. One of the best parts about getting healthy is building muscle. One of the fastest way to release fat is build muscle. One of the fastest way to age backwards is build muscle. And all you have to do is pick up some weight to do it. Now,
this all sounds really empowering. All you have to do is pick up some dumbbells. Resistance training is fantastic. Y'all know I'm a fan. I lift 5 days a week. I want more people lifting weights. But when somebody tells me that they want to start lifting, my first question is not, do you own dumbbells? I need to know who I'm actually working with. What are you currently doing? Someone who hasn't exercised intentionally in 15 years may need a completely different starting point than someone walking 5 days a week. Do you have any injuries? Have you had any surgeries? Are there medications or medical considerations I need to know about? Do you have mobility limitations? What can your body comfortably do right now? Can you get up and down from a chair? Can you get onto the floor? Can you reach comfortably overhead? Can you hinge your hips without pain? How is your balance? Can you comfortably grip a dumbbell? Where are you going to train? At home, in a gym, a combination of both? What equipment do you actually have? And here's another question I ask that I think is incredibly important. What do you like to do as far as exercises, and what do you hate? I can write you the world's most scientifically perfect workout, in my opinion, but if you absolutely hate it and never do it, it's a terrible program for you. The exercise isn't the program. The person is the starting point for the program. Ava, roll the intro. And before we keep going, if you guys are new here, welcome. My name is Erin Bies. I'm a certified personal trainer and a fitness nutrition specialist, and I spent 13 and a half years in multi-level marketing. I want to take this opportunity to remind you that Nick Martinez, the man in this video, is not a personal trainer. He is somebody that is attempting to sell people Pruvit's ketones and also recruit them into this. I don't even know what I want to call it, so we're just going to keep it moving. I don't want this video to be just me telling you what's wrong with his advice necessarily. I want to use this as an opportunity to show you how you can identify red flags when influencers give you fitness like this online. And more importantly, if you're watching this and thinking about starting to exercise, I want to help you figure out what your starting point might actually look like. So let's hear what else he says beginners should do.
I know a lot of you have never done weights before, and maybe you're a little bit intimidated by it. So I'm going to go through 5 things that you can do today if you have some dumbbells at home. And if you don't, go to Target, go to Walmart, go somewhere and pick up some. Now, I'm going to demonstrate with 5 pounds, but a lot of these you probably could go up to 10, 15, 20, 25, or even more. And the goal is to start somewhere, and then every couple of weeks, every month, progress, right? So as you're hopping on, type where you're watching from in the comments. If you have some dumbbells at home, let me know that you have them. And let's go ahead and get started. So the goal with these 5 exercises is to do them from 8 to 12 reps. You want to get to that last rep where you're like, oh, you're struggling to do it and you almost are to failure. Okay, and then I want you to go through these 5 either 2 to 3 times. Okay, and I'm telling you, this is where the magic happens.
What in the world? Hang on a second. We just went from you've never lifted before to let's take 5 exercises close to muscle failure. You don't have to do that. You shouldn't do that, in my opinion. If you came to me and told me that you've never lifted a weight before, we're definitely not going to be doing this. We're going to go slow. We're going to be extremely intentional. And oftentimes when I have somebody that comes to work with me as their personal trainer, I'm going to tell them on a difficulty scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably going to keep you around a 4. I want you to stay around a 4 so that it gives you time to learn the movements and to build confidence. I want you figuring out what these movements are supposed to feel like. And I want you leaving the workout thinking to yourself, oh, I can do this. My husband always does this thing where he's joking with me and he's like, let me catch my breath and count to 10, like he's calming down. And that's what this video makes me feel like I need to do, like calm down and count to 10. I digress. I don't want you so sore after your first workout or your first week of workouts that sitting down on the toilet becomes some kind of an Olympic event. And now you dread seeing your next workout show up in HubFit, which is the app that I use for all of my clients. Not sponsored, but HubFit, I definitely would love to work with you. Anyways, adherence is extremely important. Your first workout doesn't need to demonstrate how hard you can work. It should help establish where you are starting. And then as your technique improves, your strength improves, your tolerance improves, and your confidence improves, we can progressively ask for more difficult work. And this is so important, you guys, because progression is not just going from 5 pounds to 10 pounds to 15 and then 20. Progression can also look like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. And that turning into, okay, I think I've got this. And that turning into, I know how this movement should feel, and eventually leading to, I'm ready for the next challenge. I'm not just building your strength when we work together. I'm building your confidence in your own body. And then we start dialing up the intensity and the challenges, which brings us to, I'm going to introduce a red flag. There's 6 red flags that we're going to talk about, which brings us to the first one. Red flag number 1, they equate harder with better. Near failure, more weight, more burn. Harder isn't automatically better. Appropriate is always going to be better, especially when somebody is new. Well, see what else he has to say.
So let's talk about number 1 is a goblet squat. Goblet squat, you hold the weight like this at your chest. The goal here is shoulders back, straight back, right? And then what we want to do is squat and have the hips come down as low as possible. Now, if you need a chair for this, you can always put a chair behind you and do a chair squat. Feet not like this, not like a duck. Feet straight forward, right? Shoulder length apart. And come back. Now,
First of all, the irony that he's saying your feet should be straight forward while his are not straight forward is not lost on me, but let's continue.
The goal with the squat is not a deadlift. I see some people squat like this, right? That's not the purpose of this. The goal is keep that back straight. So that's number 1.
Which brings us to red flag number 2. They have or use unnecessarily rigid form rules. Feet straight forward while he's not even doing that. Not like a duck, shoulder width apart, squat as low as possible. Remember, he's posing this like it's for beginners. Those cues might work for some people, but they aren't universal laws of human movement. There isn't one universal squat stance because your individual anatomy matters. Comfort matters, mobility matters, and some people naturally squat better with a little bit of toe out in a wider stance. Some might be more comfortable with a more narrow stance. Your squat may look like what he just showed. It may look like what my squat looks like. Neither one automatically means that somebody is doing it wrong. And I wouldn't tell a brand new exerciser that the goal is to get their hips as low as possible. I would rather say squat through a comfortable range of motion that you can control. You don't have to chase maximum depth from the beginning, and I wouldn't suggest people do that anyways. And beginners, let me be clear. And to give Nick credit, he does mention using a chair. A chair squat can be a fantastic starting point for somebody. I'm actually a big fan of chair squats because it's safer and it helps people to build confidence in the squat movement. Because again, we're meeting you where you are. You are the one that is in charge of this. Okay, let's see what else he has to say.
You can do that. Type I can do that in the comments. I can do that. Good morning, Veronica.
Veronica, run.
Number 2 is the dumbbell deadlift. Now, this is the one where you do hinge, right? You keep your knees just slightly bent. Again, legs, feet straight forward, parallel, shoulder width apart. Here's where you keep your back nice and flat and you put your booty out, booty back, and then you keep the weights right along your shins, go down as far as you can, and then come back up. Notice I'm not rolling my shoulders forward or back. You're gonna do that again 8 to 12 times. That's number 2. Number 3 is a bent over dumbbell row. Now, again, weights here. We're gonna do the same hinge, keep the back flat, and then we're gonna do a row. This is called a low row, right? This high would be out here. We wanna go back like we're putting something in our pocket, okay? Pause, you almost squeeze in the shoulder blades together. This is...
Now, the things that I would change about what he's doing here, and I know he's looking at the camera, is obviously your head should be pointed forward. And I think you should be looking up to engage that chest upwards. And there's almost kind of a small movement where you're bringing your shoulder blades together in that row. I know it's kind of hard to show you here, but those are the tweaks that I would make when we're talking about a bent over row that a lot of people do wrong. So having that movement and coming forward and really squeezing those shoulder blades together.
Should really be working the back muscle. You're not so much working your biceps and triceps.
Nick, which back muscles? I'm asking for my friends.
It's more of a back. The lower that you get, the better burn that you get.
The lower that you get, the better burn that you get. I think the better your form, the better the squeeze of the shoulder blades.
Okay, that's number 3. Number 4 is a simple shoulder press. Now, you're gonna have the weights here. The goal is about a 45, you can kind of see 45-degree angle. Come up above, pause, and then come back down. We don't wanna be like this. We don't wanna be moving all around. We wanna be nice and tight with the core. Up, come back down.
Or you could do them seated. You could do seated shoulder press. That's fine. These exercises aren't inherently bad exercises by any means. I don't think a deadlift or a bent over row or a shoulder press is anything that is dangerous for an average healthy individual, aside from the form tweaks that I would make based on what he's showing us here. But they may or may not be appropriate for you right now. And that's the point that I want to make in all of this is there's a big difference between somebody saying, here's an exercise that I love and here's what you should do. The more prescriptive somebody becomes, the more you should be asking, well, what qualifies them to suggest this exercise for me when they know nothing about me? Which brings me to red flag number 3. They don't have appropriate qualifications. That doesn't mean that every useful fitness tip online has to come from a certified personal trainer. People can absolutely share their own workouts and their own experiences. But when someone starts telling complete strangers what they should be doing, how many reps they should do, how hard they should be working, what their form should look like, and how they should progress, credentials and context absolutely matter in this circumstance. And again, somebody doesn't need a certification to say, here's an exercise that I love. But the more prescriptive, and I want to make sure that I'm really emphasizing that, the more prescriptive they become, the more you should ask what qualifies the person to suggest this. And in this particular case, Nick is giving exercise instruction while his larger business interest is selling Pruvit ketones. And again, important to point that out.
Okay, that's number 4. Usually do cardio, but you need to incorporate weights. Yes, Veronica. Walking is important. Cardio has its benefit.
Oh my God, walking is important. Don't tell Kelsey Ray that, who says that it's not an important or it's not a workout, because yes, it is, Kelsey Ray. Disrespectfully, with my entire chest, sit down. Sit this one out, babe. Okay?
But lifting weights creates long-term health, right? Lifting weights creates muscle, which creates a better metabolic rate, which creates a better you. And I'm telling you guys, if you implement these lifts, if you are not currently lifting heavy things, this is your opportunity to start. Okay, number 5 is the farmer carry. The farmer carry, we're literally just gonna hold the weights and we're gonna march in place, or we're gonna walk around the house for about 60 seconds. You can set a timer. Okay, the beauty of this, you're working on your grip strength, you're working on like your shoulders. The goal is to have your shoulders back and down, okay, your core tight. And then we're just kind of lifting our legs. We're gonna march in place, or we're gonna walk around the house. I like to walk around. I don't like to just walk in and stay in one spot. I do all of these at the gym pretty much every day that I go, right? Some form of them. So you absolutely can start doing this. I'm excited for you, Veronica. It's gonna be awesome. And I'm telling you, if you wanna transform, if you want your transformation not to just be this diet where you're constantly, constantly stressed about carbs, constantly trying to not overconsume. adding some muscle.
Let's pause this for just a second, because red flag number 4, they say the same thing works for everybody. Beginners through experienced lifters. He's going to mention people in their 40s through their 70s, different bodies, different medical histories, different mobility, different equipment, same 5 exercises. No, I don't think so. When somebody says everyone should, your alarm bells should be ringing. Yikes.
Muscle just changes things. It changes you. It changes your body. And as your body starts to change, you feel different. It's powerful. So hit the share button if you haven't hit share yet. These 5 exercises are absolutely key. You can do them. This is designed specifically for somebody in their 50s, right? 40s, 50s, 60s. If you're my mother in her 70s, you can do these. And if you're me, you can get benefit out of these. Again, start with the weights that you have, but your goal is going to be to increase them over time. All right, y'all, I'm going to sign off. I hope you have an amazing day. Remember, keep it simple, keep it fun, keep it keto. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh, keep it keto. All right, anyways, red flag number 5. They promise dramatic outcomes. Nick talks about building muscle being one of the fastest ways to release fat and age backwards. Whenever fitness advice starts sounding like a transformation infomercial, probably should take a step back and ask some questions. Resistance training is fantastic. You guys know I am a fan. I wish more people were lifting weights, but we don't have to embellish its benefits to convince people to do it. And then he was talking about cardio and metabolism. Building and maintaining muscle is enormously valuable. Resistance training supports strength, function, bone health, physical independence, and also body composition. Muscle tissue does use energy, but adding muscle doesn't suddenly turn your metabolism into this fat burning furnace. And by the way, if fat loss is your goal, you don't need Pruvit's ketones. You don't need ketones, in my opinion. You don't need to be terrified of carbs. You don't need a magical 5 exercise circuit that somebody on the internet is suggesting for everybody. Your nutrition can also be incredibly simple. Build meals around a protein source. Eat your fruits and vegetables. Eat carbs that help fuel the things that you love to do. Include fats, drink your water, get some good sleep, work on stress management, and work towards an overall eating pattern that you can actually maintain. It doesn't have to be complicated. Now, I don't want anybody watching this to think, well, great, now I don't know what I'm supposed to do, so I want to make this really, really simple. If you've been mostly sedentary, your first goal might simply to be increasing your daily movement. A 5 or 10-minute walk is movement. Again, don't tell Kelsey Ray. She might rant in her stories about people coming for her. It's called accountability, babes. You're incorrect in what you are saying. Okay, anyways, getting up and moving around your house absolutely counts. You don't need to immediately turn exercise into a 45-minute production. And dare I say, if you were to jump into a 45-minute workout, that could be dangerous. Again, it depends on you and your situation. If you're already walking or you're generally active but haven't done resistance training, maybe start introducing a couple of resistance training sessions per week. Learn a handful of movements, keep the effort manageable, give yourself time to become comfortable doing those movements. And if you're already resistance training consistently, your starting point is definitely going to be different. You probably don't need 5 random exercises from some social media influencer that's trying to sell you proprietary blend supplements. You may benefit from an actual structured program with progressive overload that's based on your goals. And if you have mobility limitations, previous injuries, surgeries, or other considerations, that doesn't automatically mean that you can't strength train. It means your starting point might be different. And sometimes another qualified healthcare professional needs to be involved, like your doctor or a physical therapist. Let's talk about this. Is this workout being for everybody 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s? Because I think this is an important point that I want to bring up as well. Being 70 isn't a fitness level. Someone who is 70 and has trained for 20 years could potentially outlive somebody who's 35 and sedentary. Chronological age doesn't tell me what somebody is capable of doing. And that's why saying this is designed for people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and even someone in their 70s doesn't really tell us anything about who this workout is actually appropriate for. I need to know the person. When somebody decides that they want to work with me as their trainer and get some help with nutrition, I don't automatically open HubFit and go, okay, let me assign this generic Erin Bies workout that I give to everybody. I need to know who you are. What are you doing right now? Are you mostly sedentary? Do you walk? Are you lifting? Do you take group classes? Do you do any sports? What have you done previously? Any injuries, any surgeries, any mobility limitations, any medications or medical considerations that I need to know about, because some of those medications can impact your heart rate, especially if you're tracking on like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit. Where are you working out? At home, a gym, a little bit of both? What equipment do you have? What do you actually enjoy? What exercises do you absolutely hate? What are you trying to accomplish? And how much time can you realistically give this? Because the perfect 5-day program is useless for somebody who realistically has 2 days. All of that determines where we start. And notice I said start. Your starting program isn't supposed to be your forever program. We adjust, we progress, we build strength, we build confidence, and we figure out what works for you. Which leads us to the final red flag. Red flag number 6. Their advice conveniently leads back to what they're selling. This is one I really want you to remember, especially when you are out in the wild of social media and seeing some of these influencers that are giving this advice. It's important to ask yourself, where is this advice eventually taking me? Is this person teaching me skills that make me more independent, or does every problem eventually have the same solution? Their supplement, their diet, their program, their challenge, their ketones, whatever they're selling. Because Nick ends this whole thing, as we just saw, by telling everybody to keep it keto. And you don't need to eat keto to start resistance training. You don't need to eat keto to gain strength, and you don't need to eat keto in order to pursue fat loss. And I definitely don't want people leaving this video afraid to exercise without a personal trainer, because that's not the point of today's video. I want you to realize that you're allowed to start small. You don't need to destroy yourself every time you go and work out. You don't need to be sore for 4 days. You don't need to take every set to failure. You don't need keto, in my opinion. You don't need ketones. Start with what you can do right now. Pick something that you don't hate. Make it easy enough that you can repeat it. Give yourself an opportunity to learn. Give yourself an opportunity to build confidence, and then build from there. Because exercise doesn't have to feel like punishment. You don't need to prove anything with your first workout. Harder is not automatically better. Appropriate for you is always better. And the best starting point isn't Nick's starting point or my starting point. It's yours. If you loved today's video, if you do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on if you'd like to be notified anytime I upload anything, and please be very careful with whose advice you listen to on the internet. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.